Hi guys, this is Nyang Nil from Advanced Property Strategies and welcome to this week's podcast. I've got Shane Edwards from Pembroke Constructions. Hey buddy, how you going mate?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
Yeah, really good mate, really good. And Shane is a project manager as well as a civil contractor. We'll talk about and explain what that means very, very soon. He's actively working on one of my projects at the moment. Very happy to endorse him and have him on the podcast as well as on the team. So mate, yeah, really, really excited to have you today and looking forward to discussing some cool topics with you, hey?
Yeah, no, it should be pretty good. There's always interesting stuff to talk about in construction. So, yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, do you want to just share with the listeners? Some of them are beginners, some of them are intermediate, some are advanced. You know what you actually do, and how you help people, and what you do for a living to be able to add value to projects.
Okay, well, I mean, I could probably talk about one of my typical days to start off with. So, I guess today I've got two project managers that work for me and four crews of guys that work for me as well. And all of those guys will be on different projects. And there's also a few trucks as well. So in any one day, there'll be four or five projects under construction, and there'll be maybe 6 or 7 which are, got various stages of permits and things happening. So for example, today there's a concrete pour happening on the north side. I've got a whole bunch of trucks moving dirt from one side to the other, maybe 1,000 cubic meters. On another site, we're constructing a retaining wall right now. On another site, we're putting a new sewer main in for someone. So there's a lot of stuff going on all those different sites. And it's a project manager's job as well as mine to make sure that all of that happens properly and happens on time and on schedule, keeping everyone happy. So, and we manage it, so which is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's it.
Uh, we also do some project management as well. So some people just want like a hands-off solution. They want their development to just go well. So our company does do project management services for people, so we can manage just a portion of the project. So maybe you're doing a bigger project than what you'd normally do, and you want someone who's done that kind of project before and specializes in it, or perhaps you want someone to manage the project from start to finish. So we recently finished a few projects for people just like that. So we had like a 4-lot subdivision down in Loganholme, which we got a really good outcome for the client. Start to finish, we found the site for them. We managed the project for them, everything, all the way to plan ceiling. And they were really happy. We've got others where we just manage it after the DA's gone through, all the way to after civil construction's done. Just depending on what people want. But we think, and I think we add value. So I think that the money you spend on project management is saved on construction costs and other things. So, and time.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, look,
yeah.
absolutely. I think a couple of things. One is time and expertise. Time is definitely a good one, but expertise, you just can't get that overnight. You need to acquire that over years. So I suppose for the new listeners who have just joined us recently, in terms of your construction side of things, do you mainly focus on building houses, or is it civil? And do you want to explain to the layperson there what that actually means? Because some people, they're new to this industry and they hear construction and they think, okay, you're building houses, or you're doing townhouses, or you're building apartments. So do you want to just explain to them, because I know and you know what you're talking about, but in the context of a layperson,
Yeah.
it's all new.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess like a lot of industries, I specialize in a specific area, and that's in civil construction. And you go, well, what's that? What does that mean? So that means that we would build the infrastructure you need when you do the subdivision. So there may be sewerage, stormwater, water, earthworks, the retaining walls to make that happen, the roads, the footpaths, that sort of thing. Now, when it comes to houses, we do renovations, but we don't specialize in anything other than that. So if you're after a new build, we could probably recommend someone, but we're not the guys to do a new build for you, because we specialize in civil. We do civil really well.
Yeah.
So so it's actually a very different skill set. Yeah, it's kind of like with lawyers. Lawyers specialize in certain areas. You wouldn't go to a family law guy if you had a commercial law problem. So
Yeah.
totally different.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of it is stuff that's under the ground that most people don't see, and they don't even appreciate how difficult it can be with sewer, water. You
Mm.
know, you're cutting up a road, you're crossing the road, you're looking at electrical conduits, Telstra. So, what's a
Yeah.
typical day for you in terms of problem solving? Obviously, you've got a whole stack of projects on. You're dealing with customers, someone like myself, a developer, and at the same time, you're dealing with people like Queensland Urban Utilities, Energex, Brisbane City Council, those kind of institutions and bodies. So what's a typical day for you, and what's some of the challenges that you overcome on a daily basis, essentially because you just need to move forward and finish projects?
Yeah, so what happens is an engineer will do a design, and that design will be based on a fair few assumptions.
Mm.
And when you go to construct it, you've got to deal with, for example, with sewer, you've got to deal with Queensland Urban Utilities in the QU area, and it's like their own beast. If you got a domestic plumber to try and do a QU sewer, it would completely backfire. It's got all its own set of rules and regulations. I would have problems like I would have an inspector show up on a project and everything would be by the book, everything would be by the plans, and the inspector would say, oh, actually, I want XYZ done. I want another manhole there, I want another valve here if it's a water main. And it's very hard because you've got a client you've given a fixed price to, and you've got an inspector who's trying to change the goalpost. So it's a matter of working in with that inspector to give some small concessions, and working in with the engineer, and also knowing when to fight back and say, well, actually, no, this is all approved. This is what it is supposed to be, to try and get the best outcome from the client.
Yep.
But yeah, we would have people going out on site, and we'd have, sometimes we'll be digging along, and then there'll be something under the ground which isn't on any of the dial before you digs or anything, like maybe a fiber optic link. We once had a fiber optic link that we found we didn't break, luckily, that was supplying a huge part of Brisbane, that we found that it wasn't on any of the plans, and luckily we didn't break it. But or there might be a conflict. So you've got a service in the way, and you've built all of your other services, and you sort of got to try and work through it to make sure it all works. So but we've got pretty good systems, so we try to minimize those problems, and we sort of know what the answers are, and we know most of the offices as well in Brisbane, in QUU. We know all of them by name. I've got them all on speed dial, so and they know me, so normally we can get a good outcome for people.
Yeah, so what you're saying is it's a lot about relationships and solving problems and being proactive and what I mean by proactive is looking ahead and trying to solve problems and anticipate problems, isn't it? Because it's not like the first time you've done this. So when you look at a set of plans or you look at a site, you go, you know what, these are potential problems that we might have, and you might do some preparation work, whether it's potholing or make some phone calls or do some further investigation before you actually start digging, right? So
yes, that's right.
Yeah. So in terms of this, you're doing your own projects as well, which is great. So, and in terms of your experience as an engineer, I obviously started working with you when you were an engineer, and now you're a civil contractor. So that gives me a lot of confidence that you're not just a person digging up holes, so to speak, figuratively, because I know you're not out there with a pickaxe, but you're engineering trained as well. But my question is, without that, all that preamble is, in terms of projects and working with someone like you as a civil contractor, often some of the mistakes that newbies make, and I've had to go at a few of my clients in the past, is they generally get a quote and they want to go for the cheapest person. I generally recommend that they don't do that because it will bite them on the bum. So what are some tips on choosing a civil contractor or a project manager? Let's start with a civil contractor. What's some tips on how to figure out, is that civil contractor going to be the right person for you?
Yeah, well, it is a tricky one, because obviously as a developer you want to try and maximize your profit. So you do your feasibility study and you go, well, this is how much I want to spend on construction, and then you go out to tender, and then you get some tenders back, and you go, well, it's all apples for apples. Let's go with this one. He was the cheapest. But I guess what we do, and to try and maximize value for people, is we often can help people at the very beginning. So when they are deciding about their project, we can come in and we can go, look, this is what we think the construction costs will be, and this is what we think we could do with the design to actually make sure that this is more constructible. We could look at the design and go, is this going to be a good design, or is this going to be a problem? So we can help there. I would say that if a price is really low compared to all the other prices, it probably means that the contractor has missed something or is hiding something. So I'll give you an example of that. So say you've got a project and you've got to put water across a road, and they've asked you to put a water service. Say it's a 2-lot subdivision. You've got to put water across the road, and you've got 3 quotes in for the water. One is 3,000, and the other two, one is 6.5, and the other one. So why is the one 3,000? Well, maybe what he's done is he's gone, well, okay, I'm going to assume that I'm going to be able to underbore this road. I'm just going to write that on my quote in the fine print down the bottom, underboring of road. And then once I've got a signed contract and I've got contractors on site, I'm going to go, oh, well, there's actually a gas main there. We can't underbore. You're going to have to cut the road open. And then it ends up costing you 12,000 to 15,000 because the other two knew that there was a gas main in the road, and they actually allowed for that in their price.
Yes.
And in civil, there is a lot of things like that. There's a lot of things that, as civil contractors, we've got specialist knowledge. We know, okay, over here, there's going to be, we know that some roads, the dial before you dig might not say there's a gas main, but we've worked on that road before. We know, well, it's going to be something there. So there's that. And then also getting the project done on time. So you might go with the lowest price, and maybe that contractor's gone, all right, I'm just going to get a bunch of projects. I'm going to sign everyone up, and then I'm just going to run between them, and I'm just going to show up when I'm ready. So you've got a contract, and the contractor's come, he started the project, and then he just disappears, and you got holes all through your project. So now getting another contractor is pretty much impossible because other contractor doesn't want to come on that site because they don't know what's happened.
Yeah, that's right.
So I would say I wouldn't go for the most expensive. Okay, I mean, but I would probably go for somewhere in the middle and definitely get a few quotes. Always happy to have a look at people's projects for them, and always happy to talk about price and explain why. But I would say we're normally in the middle, and I'm pretty good with my pricing. So, and I normally let people know if there's going to be something pretty scary that's going to happen in the project. I normally tell them up front. So. I'd say those are things why it'd be good to have someone like us on board. So,
and I think like you mentioned, there's a few things. Let's summarize it. One is price. Second one is time, and the other one is reliability as well. So, I've been in the construction game for a while, and when I can say construction, I mean not just building roads or subdivisions. I mean building houses as well. And it's tricky. It's juggling. You are right. As a developer, you want to minimize your cost from development to maximize your profit. Having said that, if the price is too cheap, a contractor can potentially go broke because they run out of money during the project. Especially in times like this, where sometimes the jobs can be a bit lean, and people are trying to keep their employees on. Having a profit, I believe in a contractor having a profit is very important, not just for me, but longevity of the contractor, and they can do projects again and again and again. As much as we want to reduce the price, there is an actual reality cost of doing business. I acknowledge that because I've seen builders go broke. I've seen civil contractors go broke, and it's really ugly. It's not pretty because you could be in the middle of a project and you're counting, on the profit at the end, and the contractor goes broke, mate. It's an absolute bloodbath, right? So, and I think the other thing that you mentioned before is being proactive on how to save money. Like the biggest thing that I suppose I buy when I'm working with someone like yourself is reliability, ability to communicate and explain to me in plain terms, what this means. Because oftentimes you'll hit a speed bump and there needs to be a solution, and there's usually short-term solutions, long-term solutions, low-cost solutions, more expensive solutions. And each and every one of them has their risks and consequences of depending on the fork in the road that you choose, right? So, what's some of the mistakes as we start to round off this interview? What's some of the mistakes that you find that newbie developers or people who cut corners, they're trying to cut corners and reduce costs? What's some of the mistakes that developers make, as you've seen in this industry, that you definitely tell people to avoid?
Yeah, I'll give you two mistakes that I've seen people make where they've been badly burned. The first is a really simple one. They've found a project and they've got really excited. Okay, they've gone, I'm going to make a bunch of money on this. I love this project. And then they've committed to buying it before doing their due diligence. So, for example, let's talk about a really simple project, sloping away from the street. So you might buy a project that's in a good area, it's sloping away from the street, and then you commit to buying it and you find that you've got no legal point of discharge. You've got nowhere for your stormwater to go. And you can't get approval because the rear neighbours don't really want you to dig up their yard. And now you've got your subdivision, which you've committed a lot of money to, that's gone unconditional, and you can't actually get stormwater out. So that's one of the things that can happen in due diligence. The other is a developer during construction skimping on things like certifications for things. So one that I've seen someone get really badly burned is earthworks. They've gone and done earthworks on a project without getting all the appropriate approvals and certifications. So they've gone and filled in a pool, for example, and then they got the cheapest guy, they filled in the pool, they buried it, and then they got to the final plan sealing stage and the council came back and said, oh, well, where's the certificate for this pool? And, you know, they've just sort of jackhammered the size of the pool, pushed it all in and then filled the pool in, you know? And then now there's no certification on that pool. They've got to go back, dig all the dirt out, separate the dirt from the concrete, send all the concrete away, then refill the pool. You know, something that would have cost $5,000 has now cost $20,000 because now there's all this infrastructure in the way. There's everything there. So that's things like that, earthworks, stormwater, just doing your due diligence, really, really looking at the project and going, okay, what do I need here? And so, I mean, that particular developer, he didn't listen to his consulting engineer, the one that filled in the pool. He just filled it in. He's like, no, I'm filling it in. It was an old timer. He's like, no one cares. And then he had to pay. He paid with financial pain at the end, you know. Same with the storm. I'm sure you would advise your students and the people that you help with project with developments, you know, to be really careful of picking the right side and not getting excited and picking a deal that, you know, can have real problems with it. So
and I think there's two things that you mentioned there that definitely highlights people's lack of knowledge. You know, first thing is getting too excited. Don't get me wrong, I get excited from time to time, but I always try to balance it out, the positives with as many negatives as I can to get a balanced point of view. In life, there's not many things that are just 100% exciting. Maybe just maybe having a baby, yes, but there's also challenges with that too, as we know, because we both got kids. So, but long story short is getting excited and the first thing is definitely take the emotion away and looking at a transaction, because it is a transaction. It's a business transaction. I think the other one is getting educated, and whether it's getting educated through my education programs as well as getting the right consultants and being willing to listen to them as well. There will be times that I will disagree with my consultants, depending on my angle and depending on what my outcomes are of my previous experience. But, mate, I completely agree. So, look, mate, we're going to wrap that up there. I really appreciate your time and generosity. Look forward to doing another interview with you at some stage in the future. And, if people want to get into contact with you, how do they find out more about, you know, who you are and what you do there, Shane?
So we do have a Facebook page where we put a lot of stuff about what we're doing on there on Pembroke Construction on Facebook. So you can look us up there, give us a call, or look us up online, Pembroke Construction on Google. We should come up hopefully. So, but I'm always willing to take a call if someone's got a question about a project and help them save money and help them make sure that they make a profit. Because if they make a profit, we make some money, everyone's happy, you know? So
very good.
Yeah.
And at which stage is, I know I've just plucked another question, which stage should someone be talking to you? You know, should it be at the point where they're about to sign a contract before they go unconditional, or should it be after the DA approval? At which stage do you think it'd be worthwhile so it's not wasting your time and theirs?
So if they're looking for a project management service and they're looking for a site just before they're about to buy it and they want a bit of a guide on what the construction costs will be, we can help with that. Simple projects, we can just give you a price over the phone. When they get more complicated, we can go, well, we think this is what the engineer is going to ask for. We reckon that this is what the price is going to be before they go unconditional. So we can help there. Those numbers, depending on how much time we spend, they're a bit grey. So we try and make sure that the numbers are conservative so that when you buy something, you don't get burned. Other than that, so if you want project management service, we can go from there and we can get the DA for you, manage the consultants all the way through. So if that's what you're after, or just help with your pricing for your feasibility.
Yep.
Otherwise, once you're engineer, you're in DA and you've got some plans from your engineer, give us those plans and we can help with the pricing and we can help work through with the engineers. We work with most of the big engineers in Brisbane. I know them all, and we can work through and just make sure that whatever they're designing works in with at the best price for you. And we often find that we can save, maybe 10,000, maybe 50,000. The one that we saved the most on was 150,000, which was really good.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Very good, mate. Look, great for having. Okay. Thanks for having with us again, and we'll catch up with you soon. That's been Shane Edwards from Pembroke Construction. Thanks again, mate. And this is Young Nguyen signing off for another episode of this podcast, and we'll catch up with you soon. See you, mate. Good stuff.